Okay. A little nerve-wracking here because I'm on camera. All right, hello art enthusiasts and artists out there. Artistry Unlocked, I'm Fred, and today's harangue is going to be practicing our brush strokes, our brush making practice on what's called a Buddha board. Buddha board. This is the Buddha board here. Now, I've had this for years and years, and I got it from my niece Caitlin. Shout out to Caitlin. Hi, Caitlin. Thank you. And it's this is old. They don't make the silver colored one anymore. They got these different colors: white, black, white. I think pink and some other blue. And this particular model, I think it's a 7x9 if I remember correctly. The Enso model is now their full-size 9x12 Buddha board. And if you go to their website, which if I open this up, yeah, right here it says ensoinfiniteart.com. I don't know if you could see that. So if you go there, they'll have all these different models. So this is now called the Mini, the smaller board. What it is, so I guess it goes this way. If you take water and if you like get this wet, it gets dark. It's kind of like putting water on a sidewalk kind of thing. And its original intent, or not original, but the intent of this particular object, this item, is for, and I've printed this off their website here. It's for to cultivate mindfulness, improve focus, reduce stress, enhance creativity, regulate emotions. Now, I like that enhance creativity. So basically, what you do, and I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with this. You've probably seen this. They have these things displayed at art stores for you to try out brushes. I noticed that the other day. So this is a pen brush that you fill with water. It comes with it, by the way. Mine did anyways. And once you get this wet, you can make marks on it, like so. So how does it enhance creativity? Well, let me again read to you what it says off their website. Using a Buddha board stimulates creativity by providing a canvas for free expression without fear of judgment. The fluid nature of water painting, I guess as opposed to watercolor painting, this is water painting. Okay, makes sense. Water painting encourages experimentation and fosters a creative mindset similar to meditation's ability to enhance divergent thinking. All right, so there you go. They call this the Buddha board because it cultivates mindfulness, reduces stress, and all that wonderful stuff. And so if you want to use it for that purpose, great, knock yourself out. But for today's video, let's get into having some fun by practicing using our brushes. Thusly, now you can take this water brush and you can make these like horizontal strokes and so forth. You know, this is kind of far away. Let me bring you guys the camera up close, shall we? All right, I'm going to turn this off for a second. Hold on. All right, I hope that's better there. So you can see some of my old brush strokes here using this brush pen. And I'm going to put this away for now. So if you would want to use, let's say you've got your brush collection. By the way, it's got this little holder for this water brush right here. There we go. All right. So let's say you want to try out your watercolor brush on this thing. So according to their instructions, you don't want to touch this surface with your fingers because you can get oil on it. You don't want to use dirty brushes, ones that you've used heavily, that's heavily stained. You do want to clean your brushes and dry them before use. That makes sense. So say I want to practice with my mop brush here, my round watercolor mop. Get it nice and wet with the jar of water I've got. And I made sure that this is nice and clean. Clean water, just tap water. Versus using my watercolor container here, which is absolutely filthy. I don't want to use that. So yeah, just make sure everything's clean. Refrain from touching. If you need to, say, dab some of these wet areas, just use a nice clean paper towel or rag. So I've got this, and I want to create some brush strokes on here, practicing my horizontal brush strokes. I can practice being really, really light. I can go heavier. I can go wide and broad. So yeah, so I've got some variety of strokes. You can be expressive, right? You can see how this brush will behave in certain contexts. So great way to experiment with your brushes, what they will do. Now I know some of you are thinking you could just use an iPad or a Huion pad or something like that, and that's great. You're limited to your stylus at that point. But this, you can use your actual brushes that you own, your physical, tangible brushes. Like I've got this filbert here. Get it wet a little bit. This has been dried. It's used quite a bit, but I know that it's very, very clean. And you can tell what kind of marks this is going to leave. Let me get a little more water on there. And you could practice making brush strokes. I can go in and I could do various types of strokes here. I can do some scumbling. Whoops, get a little more water on there. Some scumbling. And so on, right? You know, how about an angle brush? Same thing. If I want to know what an angle brush will behave like, I know it's going to be broad in one direction. If I use it at an angle, I get a smaller line like so, right? So you can experiment, see what you can come up with. And when you have this thing full, the drawback is, yeah, you do have to wait for it to dry. And in the instructions, it says do not use any heat on this. So don't use a heat gun or a blow dryer. What I use instead is this handy dandy, just the fan, battery operated portable handheld fan to expedite drying here. So yeah, we get this drying quite nicely. And as a bonus, I will show you at the very end, I came up with my own little game that I like to play on this thing. Remind me to show you that towards the end here. And I got some large drippies. We can just kind of dab that. And we can continue with our drying process thusly. Alright, the next thing I want to show you with this thing, actually let's continue on with our brush experiment. Now here's some fan brushes. I've got some small fans, and I want to know what they're like. So if I dip them into the water, I don't know if you can see that water there, but and let's say I want to know, I want to practice what Bob Ross has been showing on his videos, right? He's got the vertical line, you know, he's making some conifers, and you can practice them this way. Right? And you'd be asking yourself, what does this brush What is it capable of? Well, if I do this, I get multiple lines. If I keep it nice and wet here. For this, I can do some grass type look. Maybe a cluster of grass on the ground in the distance. Small, short strokes with this brush. If I want to see how it behaves when I put it to its side. If I want to do this kind of motion to it, let's say the clouds. Some grass in a hurricane. All right, well, I'm just kidding. So you can see what your brush are capable of and figure out how to use them in your paintings. This is it's interesting how this fan brush turned out to kind of clump together like this. This is intentionally cut. I don't know if you can see that there. This fan brush. If I get it wet in some water. And again, we kind of ran out of some real estate here, so I'll dry the board. This is kind of a drawback to this thing. Sometimes I don't have the patience for it, but I try to remember to be mindful and to be more relaxing and just let the thing dry on its own, and we're good. Okay, so that's probably good enough. So you can see how fast it dries. So with this brush, let's see what it does. If I have a steadier hand, I could create marks thusly, like so. And so I'm thinking, what would this brush be good for? Let's try, some grass as well, a little bit more separation, maybe some close-up of pine needles. I don't know, sky's the limit. I don't know if that looks like pine boughs. Maybe a little more just to indicate pine boughs. More of an impressionistic approach. And so on. So you could figure out how to use this brush infinite amount of ways just using this little board before you go try it on an actual color painting with actual paint. You can just practice with this thing. And I like to use this as much as possible, like on a day-to-day. I don't use it every day per se, but if you were, like I said, I try to get this out quite often, and I become more confident in my brush strokes on the actual painting itself. Now I'm going to let this dry again, so be patient with me here. Dry, dry, dry. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to go about practicing with vertical strokes. I showed you early on the horizontal brush strokes with this thing. All right. So if I were to, now let me get the brush that I'm going to use here, which is, I think I will use, oh, here we go, this thing here, which is a mop brush. And again, it's been cleaned and dried thoroughly. So just using the tip. The tip doesn't want to stay together sometimes, but making very light lines and light stroke. A little bit heavier. I step back and look at it. If it's not, it's canting in from the left to the right, I notice. So you can practice your vertical stroke. Notice how I'm doing this quickly as opposed to going really slow. If I do slow down, you get the jiggles from just the sake of my hand not being very steady. Of course, you can use a maul stick to get a straighter line. Now I will try to be as still as possible, and I'm trying my best. So in order to get your more straighter lines, yeah, you just need a more confident, quick downstroke, and maybe some quick upward strokes as well. So I'm just practicing, practice. I'm rotating the brush because it tends to move on me. I know if I had a better brush than this, but with the stiffer bristles, I could probably manage it a little easier. So yeah, doing this, you can just see how if you do this quite often, you'll be very confident in your brush strokes. Confident meaning I have no problem at all just attacking the painting, like John Singer Sargent says, to attack the painting. You know, just be really confident about your brush stroke and your mark making, and you'll be off to the races. And after you do some horizontals and some vertical, you can start doing circles. You can vary your circles. Put a little dot and put a circle around it and so forth. So you can play around infinite ways to practice your brush making, mark making strokes with this great little tool. And that I hope you guys could practice with this thing if that's what you want to do. All right, let's try this again. And actually, I'm going to put it off to the side. And so with that vertical mark making, I could now go up to my painting where I have here, this is now ready to incorporate some vertical lines, and I've got my watercolors out. And I'm going to activate my watercolors with this spray. And we'll see how this goes. Now I'm not going to use this. This is my very clean brush. This is the one that I have intended to use for this. All right, so let's zoom in a little closer. Oh, okay, that's zoomed all the way. Let's go ahead and I'm going to mix my blue, ultramarine, with some neutral tint. If you can see that, the neutral tint with the ultramarine. So a little more neutral tint. There we go. Nice and dark. And I'm looking for my paper towel here. Just going to dab a little bit off. Okay, that's probably good. And make sure I got my tip to where it's not splayed out. And let's make some vertical marks on here. Ah, okay. A little nerve-wracking here because I'm on camera. Okay, and there you have it. Practice making your brush marks, and brush strokes actually, on the Buddha board there. Go back to your painting and see if it makes a difference. Okay, so thank you for hanging out to this part of the video. So next is the bonus section. So what I'm going to show you is what I like to do to have fun with this Buddha board. And that is a little game I like to play. And I'll take this, and I'll just show you here really quick. I'll take this pen, squeeze a little bit of the water out of it until I could, okay, there we go, until I could get it fairly wet. I think that's gonna do it there. Yeah, so this is a game called, well, there's no name for it, but maybe steps or stairs or catch the drip, if you know what I mean. And I'm gonna paint in a little series of steps that are angled downward, and you can see where this is going. And the challenge is to see how far successfully, and it's not, doesn't work all the time. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of a fun little thing. Funny and fun. Okay, so this thing evaporates fairly quickly. So I gotta go in, tap each one, get some water on it again, and hopefully get this to work. Doesn't work all the time. Okay, so now I'm going to squeeze fairly hard and get a nice big drip on the top. Come on. Like so. There we go. And we're off to the races. Oh, we blew it. Blew it. So now I'll go here and see if I could get it to work. Oh, there we go. Yes, check that out. Ha! All the way to the bottom. Yeah. Cool, eh? Let's try that again. This time I'm going to go, the challenge is to go from this corner down to here. I haven't really been I haven't been successful with that. And I'll show you why. I'll try to get it to go all the way down here. The trick is this: you got to keep an eye on this bottom part here. Whoops! And look how fast that dried on me here. Okay, relining this, and I'm gonna try to get all the way to that part. Let's go. Well, some of these things are already evaporating, so I got to go back in and reline these things. Okay. There's our drip. Oh, we blew it. Okay, let's go from there. Come on. Yep. Oh, dang, come on. And I'll just try to catch it. So the second way to do this, so that's the first way. So the next way I've discovered is I'll just do this. And catch it as you go along. Ha! See that again. Let's see. We still got some real estate over here. There we go. That's how you get it to the end. That's how we do it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. And remember, you're the artist. All right. Bye-bye.